Republican Representative Paul Gosar of Arizona was not present during the House of Representatives vote on coronavirus relief. In fact, he made a decision to be somewhere else. Gosar, who skipped Friday's House votes, including the vote on the $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package, spoke Friday night at the America First Political Action Committee, where he blamed former President Donald Trump's election loss on big business, big tech, and the swamp, and pushed anti-immigration arguments to the crowd of Groypers, a loose coalition of mostly young alt-right extremists led by white supremacist Nick Fuentes. And I really feel that ABC News did a service to these people by essentially using euphemisms for who they are. These are neo-Nazis, these are white nationalists, these are individuals who are anti-government. And the fact that Gosar decided to be absent during important House votes in order to speak at this event tells you everything you need to know about Representative Gosar. But we do have a snippet of his speech. Let's take a quick look at that.
We all watched recently big business, big tech in the swamp, handed together in a technology coup to usurp the White House from President Trump, the people's president. Shadowy elites and the deep state continue to collude with big tech and big media to further disenfranchise President Trump and you, the American patriots.
No, John, I think he nailed it. I think that crowd was very enthusiastic about his speech.
I think like half of them are like, yeah, don't do that to Trump. The other half are like, this isn't good enough, do better. What an awful. No, well, to be fair though, like, from their point of view, he's giving a really uninspired version of the big lie. But I'm sure from his point of view, that's the best you've got for booze? Are you half asleep? I'm telling you, they're trying to take out your God. They both
This
sucked.
is like, optically speaking, this is exactly what I would expect from any type of conference put together by someone like Nick Fuentes. Like, they didn't want to invest in any lighting for the event. They're like, we can't really get some big name speakers. Let's get this Gosar guy, not really charismatic. Which, by the way, I love that it was a train wreck. Like, what Gosar is trying to do there is continue pushing insane conspiracy theories, many of which seeped into the minds of insane people who decided to storm the Capitol on January 6th. Okay, so I'm not in any way supportive of any of the messaging here. That's clear, but I can't help but notice just how poorly this speech really went. And when you hear the crowd booing, they're not booing Gosar, they're booing the Democrats, they're booing what they believe was an unfair electoral system, which, by the way, I agree. I think the electoral system is incredibly unfair. It's just that I want to make it more democratic, whereas they want to essentially do away with whatever we have left of our democratic process in order to install whatever right-wing lunatic they want in office. But this is what Gosar was up to, while the rest of the House of Representatives was voting on a relief package that Americans desperately need right now, both Democratic voters and Republican voters. So find it interesting that Gosar doesn't think it's that important at all.
Yeah, I think that, look, Gosar is among other amazing examples every day of how all of the different checks on our politics and our politicians, sort of like the guardrails, I guess, just aren't there anymore. Like, in theory, when you're running for Congress, having virtually every member of your family put together an ad about how much of a D-hole you are, that would hurt you as a politician, but it didn't with Gosar. Skipping, debate or a vote on the aid bill during, what objectively is the worst crisis of our lifetime should really hurt you. But none of it really seems to anymore. He seems to have made the calculation that talking with those individuals is more potentially valuable to his current political position and his future political aspirations. And I can't say confidently that he's not making the right call there.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about House member from the state of Arizona, and we know what the state Republican Party is like. He is making a political calculation, but honestly, aside from, I think it's different from other Republican lawmakers, right? I think that Republican lawmakers like Ted Cruz, for instance, will certainly say all sorts of things that he doesn't believe in order to support whatever agenda or whatever hero worship is taking place among Republican voters. Like he will say things he doesn't believe just to further his political career. Whereas it's different with Gosar. Gosar is one of them. And I don't think that there's really been enough emphasis on that because first of all, let's just focus on who Nick Fuentes is for 1 minute, because Nick Fuentes, who put this entire thing together, also spoke at the event. And I'm gonna give you a few of his quotes. He says, if America loses its white demographic core, then it's not America anymore. He also said, he praised the Capitol rioters. While I was there in DC, outside of the building, I saw hundreds of thousands of patriots surrounding the US Capitol building, and I saw the police retreating. I said to myself, this is awesome. And he also said in his speech, to see that Capitol under siege, to see the people of this country rise up and mobilize to DC with the pitchforks and the torches, we need a little bit more of that energy in the future. And the reason why Gosar was there is because he agrees with that message. How do I know that? Well, a leader from the Oath Keepers, one of these anti-government right-wing gang groups in this country, put out a video recently and talked about how Representative Gosar actually did attend one of their meetings and answered an important question regarding civil war in the United States. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
We did a meetings a couple of years ago where our elected representative from Washington, Paul Gosar, came out, and we asked him flat out at that time, do you think we're heading into a civil war? And his response to the group was just flat out, we're in it. We just haven't started shooting at each other yet.
That was Jim Arroyo, and he is from the Oath Keepers chapter in Arizona. And so why is a member of the House of Representatives attending meetings for right-wing gangs in this country? And why is that not an issue? We have these conversations about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and those are definitely valid discussions to have. Lauren Boebert and all of the other far-right members of Congress. You have some of them literally showing up to meetings that are being held by groups that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. It's amazing. It really is. I mean, I remember, John, in 2012, there was a Republican lawmaker who argued that if a woman gets raped you don't have to worry about her getting pregnant because the body has this whole way of shutting things down. That's what he argued. It was such a ridiculous, ignorant, and offensive comment that it destroyed his political career. He's done.
Yeah.
But things have gotten so much worse, like to the point where you have right-wing lawmakers empowering right-wing extremists in the country and protecting them.
Yeah, and implying, that we're in the Civil War, we're not shooting yet. That's great. It just reminds me so much of, you'll have people like Meghan McCain on The View will be like, if you try to take people's guns, you'll have a civil war. I'm not saying if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying maybe it'll happen. It's all these people that are like agnostic about millions of Americans killing each other. So that's terrible. The comment from the Nick Fuentes guy about the demographic core, I don't even need to hear any of his other comments. If you say that, I know exactly who you are and what you believe about America. But the issue is that while the racists, the people who believe that all politics is about race and protecting the white race, have become simultaneously more vocal about it and also far, far more influential in the Republican Party. At the same time, you have more right-wing propaganda about how racism doesn't exist and white supremacists haven't done anything wrong, even when you're literally watching video of them doing it. You have people not even necessarily on the right trying to pretend that any conversation about race is a waste of time. It's all economic anxiety and everything. And so what do you know? They continue gaining power, and the fact that they're becoming more explicit about it never really seems to hurt them because there's so much plausible deniability. So many people on all sides have just kicked up a bunch of dirt that we're just supposed to, I don't know, try to convince people that this is a problem. We have to convince people of things that were so obvious years ago. I don't know. Is he gonna be in charge? Like was it Steve King? Like this is the sort of thing that made him lose his position. And now it can't effectively. With the Democrats in charge, maybe Marjorie Greene gets stripped of her committee assignments. Before it was the Republican Party that did that. But we have backslid so much on this. I don't have any answers, by the way.
I don't either. I mean, Representative Steve King, former Representative Steve King, who, is obviously not in office anymore. He was also stripped of his committee assignments because he had said that there's nothing wrong with nationalism, among a million other insane, offensive, racist things. But I bring him up because he was also at this, nationalist conference, whatever you want to call it. He was there to speak as well. So it gives you a sense of who gathered. And again, understand, Gosar decided that voting, doing his job was not important. Going to this racist conference to speak for right-wing extremists who had stormed the Capitol, like that was more important to him. Now, luckily, the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package passed in the House of Representatives because Democrats have a slim majority there. But it doesn't matter. The point here is Gosar obviously has his priorities in emboldening and empowering the worst elements of society while also abandoning his job and refusing to do what he was literally elected to do. So this is what the Republican Party is. And I'm actually, to be honest with you, tired of reading articles by reporters who are like, ooh, so this war within the Republican Party, is it gonna be Trumpism or is it gonna be the more traditional Republican? You know already. They protected Donald Trump, who incited the riot. You already know, case closed. We don't need to have the debate anymore. Let's move on.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.